cozy on up because today we are going to be talking about Princess Diana. I thought I would do kind of like a true Hollywood story about Princess Diana and just talk a little bit about her life and her untimely death. So without further ado, let's get into it. She was the most photographed woman on earth, a shy kindergarten assistant who became the world's most famous princess, loved by millions, trapped by tradition, and pursued until her final moments. Nearly nearly 3 decades after her death, the life of Princess Diana continues to captivate the world. This is the story of a fairy tale that became a tragedy, and the woman forever remembered as the people's princess. So we're going to go back to Princess Diana's childhood, and before she was Princess Diana, she was Diana Frances Spencer. She was born on July 1st, 1961, at Park House on the Sandringham estate. Diana grew up surrounded by Britain's aristocracy, but privilege didn't protect her from heartbreak. When Diana was just 7 years old, her parents divorced after a bitter custody battle. Friends would later say that the separation left a lasting wound on poor Diana. Diana often described feeling unwanted, never quite good enough, always searching for love. School wasn't easy for Diana either. She really struggled academically, but she had a remarkable gift for kindness, and the teachers remembered the quiet girl who always comforted children who were crying. No one imagined that this compassionate teenager would one day become one of the most recognizable women in history. After finishing school, Diana worked ordinary jobs. She cleaned apartments, babysat children, and then eventually became a kindergarten assistant in London. At just 19 years old, she was living a relatively normal life until destiny intervened. So Diana meets Prince Charles, and a little background on Prince Charles. He had dated Camilla Shand on and off for several years, and they had kind of a tumultuous relationship, not tumultuous, but just very on again, off again. And Charles' heart was broken when he found out that she was engaged, but Charles had a lot of pressure put on him to find a bride that didn't have a history with men, and in comes Diana. So Prince Charles actually first met Diana while he was dating her older sister, Sarah. At the time, Diana didn't really catch people's attention. She was very shy and reserved, and she was almost 13 years younger than Charles. Like I said, by 1980, Charles was under enormous pressure to marry, and Britain wanted a future queen. The royal family wanted stability, and Diana appeared to be the perfect choice. She was young, she was beautiful, she was an aristocrat, and she, like I said, didn't have a serious romantic history, so there weren't a big line of men that had dated her before or had any kind of relations with her before. The media adored her instantly. Oh, there's one of my cats. She's joining us. That's Emmy, and she's very sweet and cuddly, and I love her. Anyway, sorry about that tangent. So the media adored her instantly, and they gave her the nickname of Shy Di. Photographers chased her every morning as she walked to work, and the attention was overwhelming. She later admitted that she cried almost every day. But the romance moved quickly, and after only a handful of private meetings, Charles proposed. On February 24th, 1981, the engagement became official. When reporters asked if they were in love, Diana smiled. Charles answered, "Whatever in love means." The awkward response would become one of the most analyzed moments in royal history. Some believed it foreshadowed everything that followed. So awkward. Just so awkward. And obviously Charles was still hung up on Camilla. So that sucks for everyone involved. On July 29th, 1981, an estimated 750 million people tuned in around the globe. It wasn't a simple wedding, it was a worldwide event. Diana's ivory silk gown featured a dramatic 25-foot train, still one of the longest in royal history. St. Paul's Cathedral overflowed with royalty, world leaders, celebrities, and cameras from every continent. At 21 years old, Diana became Her Royal Highness the Princess of Wales. To millions, it looked like the perfect fairy tale, but behind palace walls, the cracks were already beginning to show. Royal life was nothing like Diana imagined. Every movement, every outfit, every facial expression was scrutinized. She later described feeling very isolated and lonely and emotionally overwhelmed. These pressures contributed to severe bulimia, something Diana courageously discussed years later. At a time when few public figures spoke out about mental health, she described throwing herself down staircases while pregnant, desperate for Charles to notice her pain. So sad. Meanwhile, Charles maintained a close relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. Oh, did I say her name wrong at the beginning? I might have said her name wrong at the beginning. Sorry if I did. But Camilla was said to be the love of his life, and this made Diana increasingly feel like an outsider in her own marriage. Despite her personal struggles, Diana transformed the monarchy. Unlike previous royals, she hugged children, knelt beside hospital patients, held hands with people living with AIDS, at a time when fear and misunderstanding surrounded the disease. In 1987, one simple handshake changed public opinion around the world. She showed compassion where others showed fear. She visited homeless shelters, hospices, cancer wards, landmine victims, without gloves, without hesitation, and without judgment. She didn't simply attend royal engagements, she connected with people. That authenticity earned her a nickname still remembered today, the People's Princess. Everyone loved her so much. For Diana, her greatest role wasn't princess, it was mother. Prince William was born in 1982, Prince Harry followed in 1984, and she was determined to give her sons as normal a childhood as possible. She broke royal tradition and took them to amusement parks, fast food restaurants, public transportation. She even stood in school pickup lines herself. William and Harry later credited their mother with teaching them empathy, compassion, and understanding life beyond palace gates. Those lessons continue to shape both princes today. By the early 1990s, by the early 1990s, Diana's popularity eclipsed nearly every member of the royal family. Fashion magazines celebrated her style. saw her support. Photographers followed her everywhere. She became one of the first truly global celebrities. This was before social media and smartphones, and Diana just dominated newspapers every single day. But the fame came at a cost. The paparazzi never stopped. They would find her vacationing and shopping and exercising, private moments with friends. Nothing remained private for Diana, and she was reported to say that she felt hunted by the paparazzi, which I think is a very fair statement. So the rumors of the affairs and arguments and unhappiness became impossible to ignore, and in 1992, Prime Minister John Major announced that Charles and Diana had separated. The royal fairy tale was officially over. Then came the bombshell interviews. Charles admitted to adultery. Diana later gave her unforgettable BBC Panorama interview. She looked directly into the camera and delivered one of television's most famous lines. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. I love her. I love that she just was so open. Sorry, it's getting really windy out. Hopefully that doesn't distract. Diana openly discussed her depression, bulimia, loneliness, and feeling unsupported, and millions admired her honesty. Others criticized her for breaking the royal convention, but either way, the monarchy would never be the same. Their divorce became official in 1996. Free from the many royal restrictions, Diana became one of the world's leading voices against landmines. Her walk through an active minefield in Angola became one of the defining images of the 20th century. Some political leaders dismissed the campaign, but Diana remained determined. Months after her death, an international treaty banning personnel landmines gained momentum. Many credited her advocacy with helping change public opinion. In the summer of 1997, Diana began spending time with businessman Dodi Fayed. Their relationship attracted relentless media attention. They were followed on yacht trips and vacations and dinners, and photographers were just pursuing them constantly. And on August 30th, the couple dined at the Ritz Hotel in Paris. Shortly after midnight, they left through a rear entrance, attempting to avoid waiting paparazzi. My microphone died, so I charged it for a minute, and I'm gonna hope it will get through the rest of this. So their Mercedes sped into the Pont de Alma tunnel. Moments later, it crashed. Dodi Fayed died instantly. Driver Henry Paul also died. Bodyguard Trevor Rees-Jones survived with serious injuries, and Diana was taken to a Paris hospital. Despite extensive efforts by doctors, she died in the early hours of August 31st, 1997, at just 36 years old. That's my age. That makes me sad. The news stunned the globe. Crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace and Kensington Palace, and within days, millions of flowers covered the streets. An estimated 2.5 billion people watched her funeral. During the service, Diana's brother, Earl Spencer, delivered an emotional tribute. Then came another unforgettable moment. Sir Elton John performed a written version of A Candle in the Wind. The song became one of the best-selling singles in history. As William and Harry walked behind their mother's coffin, the world watched in silence. It became one of the defining images of modern history. is crazy. We're going to talk a little bit about Diana's legacy. So nearly 30 years later, Princess Diana remains one of history's most public figures. She changed how the monarchy interacted with ordinary people. She helped transform public attitudes toward AIDS, mental health, homelessness, and landmine victims. Her fashion continues to inspire designers. Her charitable work continues through countless organizations. Most importantly, her influence lives on through her sons. Prince William and Prince Harry have both spoken about carrying forward their mother's compassion. Different paths, but rooted in the same lesson Diana tried to teach them, that kindness matters. She entered the royal family hoping for a fairy tale. Instead, she became something more powerful. A woman whose humanity reached beyond crowns, beyond palaces, beyond tragedy. She wasn't remembered because she was a princess. She was remembered because she made millions of people feel seen. Nearly 3 decades after her death, Diana remains exactly what the world called her in those unforgettable days of mourning. The people's princess. So that is the story of Princess Diana. I have always had an interest in her. I remember doing a report on her in junior high, and I just think that she was such a kind woman, and I really like learning about her. I will touch on, there are a lot of conspiracy theories that say that the royal family was behind Diana's death, but that has never been proven. Who knows? Who knows what happened? As far as we have proof of, it was just a horrible accident, kind of caused by the paparazzi, is what has been put out there. But I guess we probably will never know exactly what happened in that tunnel. But regardless of what happened there, I think she did some amazing things in her life, and I think she was a really great mom and a really kind-hearted, sweet person. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves tonight and were able to